So, 3 games, 1 for each player on Queso in this first one. Let me just check. It's Furia Queso game 6. This is the lower bracket quarter-final. Furia just lost to G2 in the upper bracket semi. Queso just before this beat Evil Geniuses in the lower bracket. Queso took 2 games in a row in this series. They were up 2-0. Then Furia won 3 straight. They played incredibly well. And they're up 3-2. Putting Queso on their, I think, 3rd elimination game of the entire tournament. NRG got 2 elimination games against Queso, lost both of them. And now Furia have got 2 elimination games against Queso as well. And we're about to see how the first one goes from Joyo POV, or at least I think we're on Joyo POV. So one of the main stories for Queso at the weekend, and one that we referred to many times in the grand final and in the build-up to it, was that no one could eliminate Team Queso. No one could beat Queso in a game 3 or 4 when it came to best of 5s. And no one could beat Team Queso in a game 6 or 7 when it came to best of 7s. NRG had a 2-1 lead against them. FaZe had a 2-1 lead against them. Furia now have a 3-2 lead against them. Space Station also had a 3-2 lead against them. A lovely little open net miss there from Rise to give Joyo the opening goal. Well done, Rise. Please turn off the new crowd noise. Wait, there's a new crowd noise? What did I miss? What is that? Oh, it's the April Fool's crowd. I don't even know about that. Okay, I'm gonna leave it on, to be honest. It says we're at Joyo POV. Of course, we're going to see a ton of big plays, but this was a huge brain play. I'm going to rewind that one. Because watch what Joyo does here. I had a chance to get a chat with him. Or I think one of the other casters talked about this play with Joyo, because he jumps up here and he's already calling that he's going to fake it. Look, he's just spinning. He's faking a reset, faking a flip reset, so that everybody gets worried about that. But he's already called that he's faking it a long time ago. And Rise is just going for the ball the entire time. And I think this is one play that Queso really, really brought brilliantly to the LAN. And they used a lot better than every other team at the event, is those fake aerials. And I'm not trying to take credit here. I guarantee you, they didn't watch my stream to hear about this. But I swear, I think I talked to Marky Duda about this years ago. I used to be manager of Flipside, and when Marky Duda was still a pro player, I remember talking to him about this. I was like, why does nobody ever fake aerial? It's like I felt like at the time it was a pride thing for pro players. You know, they're going for an aerial, they have to hit it. You can't miss aerials. You need to hit the ball on every aerial, or else you're bad. So everybody was always trying to hit aerials, but fake aerials are really, really powerful because everybody's expecting you to just go for the ball. I'm just trying to listen to this crowd sound. Yeah, there's a reason it works in Plat. It's because it's difficult to predict. It's really hard to predict if someone's faking an aerial. But since you're in team comms, well, since the pro players are in team comms, they can let their teammates know that they're doing it. Turn the crowd up. It's already on max volume. SF Pencil, thanks to the 7-month Prime. Welcome back to the channel. 3-0 Joyo getting on the score sheet again. What is he saying? I can't even hear it. TT Shun, thanks to the 8-month tier 1 as well. G2 does it as well. Yeah, G2 does. I mean, a lot of teams do it, but I don't think any team did it as well as Team Queso, is all I'm saying. Like, they did it in a lot of very clutch moments. I think Joyo just missed the respawn of that boost. Not by much, but he's looking for demos on his rotation back towards his own half. That's another thing that we saw a ton at this LAN compared to other LANs that we've seen before, and just other Rocket League events in general, is well, namely from NA teams, but we saw lots of ball pressure while rotating out. And you'll probably have heard many times from Rocket League coaches, content creators, pro players streaming, that when you're rotating in threes, you want to rotate away from the play. And yeah, why is that? It's because when you rotate away from the play, you're making space for your teammates to come in and make a play on the ball, and you're not getting in the way, you're not confusing them. However, in pro play, if you do that, if you rotate away from the play, and the other team has the ball, all you've done is you've driven away from a position where you could be affecting the play to do absolutely nothing, while your teammates now have to 2v3 defend. So you'll see a lot of players rotating towards the ball at pro play these days. Something that BDS started doing a ton in RLCS Season X. and something that pretty much every European team was doing at the Fall Major. And I was really impressed to see Space Station version 1 and G2 doing it a ton at this event, as well as FaZe as well in the playoffs. FaZe were doing it a lot as, also. I was spotting that while casting them a couple times. And it's a really important thing to do when you're playing 2v2, but when you're playing 3v3 with a team, it's a very important thing to do as well. Just rotate towards the ball when you're recovering. Oh, little trickle there from Furia to get their first goal. I think the noise in the background is the ball, right? Is the ball screaming? Somebody said in chat. I don't know if that's actually true. Do know that if the other team, well, if your team has the ball, you don't really need to do that. You don't need to pressure the ball when your team has it, because, you know, if one of your teammates has the ball, I mean, he's already got possession. You don't need to pressure the ball when your team has possession. It's usually just when the other team has possession that you want to rotate back towards the ball, or at least demo someone on your way back. Because in your multitasking, you're not just focusing on grabbing boost, you're also doing something else as well. But I think of the April Fool's update, is there anything else in the April Fool's update apart from this? That's a lovely flip reset there from Joyo. Let's look at the techers again on this one. Pre-jumps, cards, air dribble, and look at that, sideways reset, little air roll forward before perfectly dodging into the ball. Very nice. Oh, there's a 3-wheel game mode. I've not seen this. Is it fun? This crowd is ridiculous. New title called Free Player Title. Okay, what is this 3-wheel game mode? What does it do? What does it do? So, like, okay, here's an example. Somebody's asking for an example of rotating back towards the play. I mean, you won't have to wait long when you're watching the best teams in the world these days before you see one. So, Joyo's, let's rewind a little bit further. He misreads what Jan's doing here. Thought Jan was going to go towards the corner. Jan goes center. So now he's floating off into the middle, which is not something you generally want to be doing, by the way. You don't usually want to be flying off into the middle of nowhere like this, because your recovery is going to be slower than if you land on a wall, or the ceiling, or even the ground. But instead of just flipping away to the back post here, which is what a lot of Rocket League coaches, a lot of Rocket League streamers will tell you to do, I've seen a lot of people doing replay reviews, and in this position, a lot of people will tell you that you're supposed to go over here because your teammates have got the corner, and if you stack the corner, you're just getting in the way and you're just crowding one area of the field. So really, you're supposed to go over here, maybe get that boost. But that's not what the pros do, and it's not what you should really do either, in my opinion. You know, instead of going back post, instead of rotating away from the play, Joyo realizes that Kaio is an immediate threat to receive an infield pass, so he blocks him. And, you know, if that pass got past Vatira, which it didn't, then that would have been really good from, it would have been crucial for Joyo to stay in the play, either by bumping or pressuring the ball. Just doing something. You're either pressuring the ball to stop the player who has the ball from doing anything with it, or doing what they want to do with it, or you're pressuring a player off the ball who's waiting for a pass. Both those things are very, very important. Things to do while you're recovering, while you're grabbing boost. You want to like multitask with bumps and either fake challenges, real challenges, so some kind of ball pressure. Sometimes just being near the ball forces an opponent to do something that they didn't want to do. Yeah, great game there for Joyo. This game was actually, I think, the highest score game, 820 points, highest score game in regulation time in the entire playoffs of the event, if I'm not mistaken. So really insane stuff from Joyo, just very effective, very active, lots of goals. And this was after Furia won 3 straight games. Queso just smacked them in game 6, and they did the same thing in game 7 to take the series. Okay, let's get into another one. We're going to watch one game from SSG Queso, and this one is going to be Captain Clutch Rise POV. And it's a game that I probably will be remembered for a long, long time. What is... Hold on. What is this?
What a nice day for a game.
What is this? Is this game 7 of Queso versus Space Station Gaming? So what do you guys... Shall I leave on the crowd, or shall we just start it off? It is starting to become quite distracting, but... Should I leave it on? I don't know if I should. I'll turn it off. Maybe we'll listen to it later. I think we'll listen to it later. Leave it on? Oh, for goodness sake, right. Okay. Well, I think we'll leave it on because it's a limited time thing. We'll leave it. What are they going to say now? Yeah, we're on Rise POV, who scored multiple 0-second goals at this event. He had, I think across the board, let's just say he's in the running for MVP of the tournament. I don't want to reveal my actual ranking. Wait, did I do that already? I think I already did that on Twitter, didn't I? Yeah, I did. Okay, I already did it on Twitter, so I can say it. But I think Rise was the MVP of the event. I'm a believer in giving players from losing teams the MVP. They've never wanted to do that at any RLCS events or Rocket League events in the past, so that's why we have no real discussion. Well, I guess there was a bit of a discussion for who the MVP was, because I think you could make a case for JNaps. But Atomic definitely a deserving player as well. He would have been my number 2. But yeah, I think Rise had the best event out of anybody, and I think that Queso had the most impressive run out of everybody. And that's maybe going to confuse some people. But I think I've said that G2 is the best team in the world. How can G2 be the best team in the world if Queso had the most impressive run? But the way that works, in my opinion, is it's the fact that Queso started off by losing. They put themselves in a difficult position, and then they managed to get themselves out of it. G2 didn't start off with a loss. They managed to 3-0 their group, so they had a much easier run in terms of, well, how many games they had to play and how good the teams were that they had to play against. So what Queso did at the Winter Major was definitely more impressive. They now go 2-0 up against SSG here. Like, they had the most impressive run. However, consistency is a big part of being the best. You need to be consistent, and they were not. They lost their opening match. G2 won their opening match. So G2, you can call G2 the best team in the world, but definitely Queso had the most impressive run, and that's just part of this format that was played in, the winter split. It's always going to be more impressive to make a lower bracket run all the way from round 1 than it is to win your group and then win the event. However, G2 was by far better. Well, okay, let's not stretch it here. Saying that G2 was by far better than Queso is an exaggeration. I mean, G2 and Queso were by far the best teams at the Winter Major, but the difference between them, in my opinion, is very small. They were, if you look at the records of all the teams at the Winter Major, it's a good little demo there. Instead of the boost grab by Rise, he was getting beaten to the boost by these things. If you look at the runs that Queso had, they won 8 series, lost 2. G2 won 6 series and lost 1. And then no other team had more than a +1 series win-loss. No other team. Space Station, 3-2. Version 1, 3-2. I think we also had FaZe 3-3, if I'm not mistaken. And Furia 3-3. So every other team either went +1 in series win-loss or worse. And then you have Queso on 8-2 and G2 on 6-1. They were by far the best 2 teams. Very little between them, but I'd say G2 were the best team because they didn't lose in the group. They started off with the win. They were great from the very beginning. Queso started with a loss, and then they had to ramp it up as they went. And by the time the end of the event came around, Queso were probably the team who were playing at the highest level. But you don't just look at how teams finish an event when you're talking about best team in the world. You've got to look at how they played the entire event. And G2 were the team who played at the highest level on average throughout the entire event. Even if Queso did, in my opinion, have the highest peak, and including an MVP performance from the guy on your screen right now, Rise, he was just ridiculous. He was absolutely insane. I think the only player at the event who was able to get more than a goal per game, unless did Beast Mode finish off with a goal per game or more as well? I forget. Rise was unreal. If I had to predict, do I think Queso or G2 would have taken a best of set? It's hard to go against Queso because they were just on such a streak. It's hard to go against him. Good physical play by Space Station. Gonna rewind that one and take another look at it. Let's watch Arsenal POV for a second. Arsenal lands out of position and he immediately just starts chasing Vatira. He realizes that Daniel's got an air dribble, so he just goes for Vatira, forces Vatira to stop, gets a bump on him as well. Open net for Daniel. Fantastic stuff. Yeah, I don't know why it's so confusing. I feel like it's quite a simple concept. Like, G2 are the best team in the world, but Queso were the most impressive team of the event. To me, that makes sense. It's not difficult to rationalize, but for some people, I've seen a lot of people who don't think that it's possible for a team to be the most impressive on a weekend or do the most impressive thing without being the best team. Oh yeah, this, wow. Okay, well, a lot going on here that we need to take a look at. So we just had a demo goal for SSG, or a bump goal. I don't even know whose POV to start off with here. Probably gotta go Arsenal again, right? Or no, Rettles rather, Rettles. So Joyal slightly out of the game. Rise taken out by Rettles, and then Rettles starts chasing Vatira. Got a bump on him, but crucially, Vatira was able to at least stay alive, and 50-50 on the goal line like his life depended on it. I mean, this 50-50 here, that turn by Vatira is so clutch. I don't know how he manages to do this, but he managed to turn into Rettles at a moment where Rettles wasn't supersonic, so he didn't die. Like right here, he manages to get Rettles at a moment right there. I don't know if you guys can see it. We'll have to probably go in slow-mo. We have to probably do super slow-mo here, but right here, Rettles, because of the turning, like just ends up turning into Vatira, or hitting Vatira at a big enough angle that it doesn't count as a demo. They just like end up beside each other. This has got to be so close to a demo. I don't know what angle you need to hit somebody at for it to count as a demo, but this must have been extremely close to it. Extremely close. Because obviously when you hit somebody side on at a perpendicular angle, demo. And if you hit them at 45 degrees, demo. But when you just drive beside somebody at supersonic, it's not a demo. So I want Rocket League Science to explain this. Like whatever, it was either the fact that Rettles lost demo at the very moment that he impacted Vatira, so it didn't count as a demo, or the angle was like too significant for the game to register it. Yeah, right there. Did he lose supersonic because of the contact, or did he lose supersonic right before the contact because he wasn't boosting? I don't know. Did Rettles have boost here? He did actually, but he let go of boost. Like he does let go of boost while he's steering. We need Rocket League Science to get on this. He's boosting here. He let go briefly. Now he's boosting again. Then he lets go here, and I think it's the contact that stops the demo. Leth saying he should have been demoed. Well, how? He didn't get demoed. Like, if he didn't get demoed, then he shouldn't have been demoed. It's pretty simple. I mean, what we're seeing on the replay is not always what actually happened in the server as well. You guys have to remember that. Like, what you see on the replay is not always an exact representation of what happened server side. So all we know is that what happened server side was either that there was not enough of an angle for the game to call it a demo, or he lost supersonic right before contact. It's a miscalculation of the server, so you'd rather blame the server than the replay. That sounds like an SSG content creator cope, if you ask me. Hey, Mordak615, thanks for the 16-month Prime. Appreciate it, man. I don't know enough about... we need Rocket Science to come in here. You don't care who wins RLCS. Oh, Lethamir put a laughing face, therefore that's proof that he doesn't care. Proof that he's not coping right now. It's like the guy in rank 2 like types, "I'm not mad," smiley face, and you're like, man, he really isn't mad. He wrote a smiley emoji. That's proof. Yeah, I don't know. That's the reason I wanted to look at this, so. Yeah, the one thing that I can definitely say though is that Rettles did stop boosting here. He did stop boosting. So if he ended up like just losing Supersonic right because he's turning, he's turning right now. Like Rattles is turning, and when you're turning, you lose speed. So that would be unfortunate if he like loses Supersonic here in the contact. Not 45 degrees. I don't know what the degree angle is though that you're supposed to hit people at. I mean, this angle here, once Rattles actually hits Vatira, the angle increases. See that? He kind of like pit maneuvers him. So now it looks like they're a lot more of an angle. Yeah, rocket science, help us out here. Help us, small brain people, understand what happened here. Because every time I see a pro player like tweeting out, "This should have been a demo," rocket science just replies like, "Well, actually," and he just breaks it down and explains it to us lesser beings. By the end of the day, it doesn't really matter because it was it would have been an equalizer, and then Queso would have won anyway. So it's not like it made a difference. Regardless, let's actually look at the play here from Vatira. After the game decided, the server decided that's not a demo, and he managed to like jump after. Like this is so impressive that he managed to do what he did, regardless of like what you guys decide. You can decide whatever you want. I don't care if you guys are coping or if you actually believe that this should have been a demo, or it doesn't matter at the end of the day. It doesn't matter what happened. But what we can say is that this is like still very, very impressive defense by Vatira, because a lot of people would have jumped tier 2 early. They would have panicked, jumped, and fallen over. But Vatira manages to like 50-50 the ball into the goal line for Rise to spawn, come out of nowhere. We'll look at Arsenal POV. It won't look as ridiculous as it did on the stream, because on the stream there were nameplates blocking. Like you saw Rise spawn, but then he just like came out literally from nowhere. This one on the replay, he doesn't come out of nowhere as much because there's no player cams on the right hand side of my screen blocking his approach. But man, on the live stream he actually just came out of nowhere. And Rise said that he pre-turned on this. Oh my goodness, he actually did. Look at Rise. He pre-turns. He guessed which side he's going to spawn on. He's already turning. Look at this guy. He's already turning. Wow. He doesn't even wait. But I think that's really smart though, because I think Rise figured out in his head that if he spawns on the right hand side, he can afford to pre-turn to the right and still go left for a potential save. But if he spawns on this left hand side, he has to pre-turn right, which he does. He just guesses which way he's gonna need to go, which is pretty ridiculous. And yeah, ends up getting the clear. But yeah, that's just one of Rise's clutch moments. He had so many clutch moments. A very wise moment indeed. But yeah, he had so many 0-second goals, so many big plays. For me, he was probably the biggest LAN boy of the event. Who do you guys think were the biggest LAN boys? Definition of a LAN boy, by the way. Somebody who like steps up on LAN compared to online. Who was the biggest LAN boys? I think. Let me make a quick list in my head. Oh, let me load up Wikipedia rather, and I'll tell you who I think the biggest LAN boys were. A lot of good suggestions in chat. So I think the biggest LAN boys were JNaps, JNaps, Arsenal, Rise. Might leave it at that, actually. That might be the list. A lot of you guys are saying players who are very good online. Like, I mean, Rise was very good online as well, but to go from like very good to just being the best player, in my opinion, is very, very impressive. What about anti-LAN boys? Whoa! You don't need to go there. That's harsh. That is harsh. Leave NRG alone. Leave Dignitas alone. All of Furia, I don't know. Like Furia are actually just sick though. Like they're not necessarily LAN boys. They're just boys. You know, they're just insane. And it's the same thing with players like Beast Mode. Like he was also absolutely one of the best in NA online. In the event that they won, I think Regional 3, Beast Mode was the best player, wasn't he? like the most recent NA regional. I think Beast Mode was the best player, wasn't he? So being like second best player on LAN for NA after Atomic is a step down technically from that. Calm was good. Wasn't Calm like second best player in the... I think the two best players in Regional 3 for NA were Beast Mode and Calm, so like them being really, really insane on LAN isn't necessarily make them a LAN boy, it just makes them a boy. Because they were already at that level, like coming in to the event. I think V1 just proved with this LAN that Regional 3 wasn't a Mickey win. A lot of people calling Regional 3 a Mickey win because so many teams had already qualified for the LAN. They're saying it didn't matter, that nobody was trying, but actually looks like teams were trying. What would have been really cool is if V1 had beaten FaZe, and then we would have had the chance to see Queso just run the NA gauntlet, beating FaZe in the group stage, NRG lower bracket round 1, V1 in the lower semis, and then, lower semis, Space Station lower finals, G2 in the grand final, like literally just all 5 NA teams one after another. And another thing that's pretty cool is that bracket reset, the second series in the grand final, was actually the series which determined who had more wins in the head-to-head throughout the weekend, NA or EU. If Queso beat G2 twice, EU would have had 7 series wins against NA to NA's 6. Because Queso won so many. Queso won 6 of them. So it was like Queso versus NA, it would have been 6-1. And then rest of EU versus NA would have been 1-5. Like Queso hard carried. Absolutely hard carried. It wasn't. They were literally a region by themselves. Furia got more wins on NA. Oh, actually, no, they got the same amount of wins. Furia got the same amount of wins as the rest of EU did against NA. Furia and Endpoint both got 1 each, and then BDS, EG, and Dignitas all got 0. But then EG managed to get top 8 because they beat Dignitas, which is still very impressive. Reverse sweep as well, so they still had a good result, even though they lost their only matchup versus NA. And you know, BDS and Dig weren't completely horrendous. They were definitely very bad compared to what we expected from them, but they weren't completely horrendous all the way through. BDS were horrendous against FaZe, but in the group stage they were pretty close. I mean, they were literally 1 goal away from beating G2, marked by 8 missed an open net in game 5, 10 seconds to go. Like if BDS scored that, then we're looking at a very different LAN. Same thing with like SSG Dignitas. Like Dig were really upset about that because they definitely tossed that one. that was a bit of a throw. Right. Let's look at a Vatira game as well. You know, we talked about... Oh, we had a look at a really, really dramatic game there. A game that's going to go down in history because of that crazy save at the end there. And because people are probably always going to point at that as the demo that should have been for NA. Luckily, it wasn't on a tie game. If that demo happened on a tie game, it would have been even more controversial. Or if that lack of demo happened on a tie game, it would have been even more controversial. But the fact that they were already losing by 1, looking to tie it, makes it a little bit less painful for SSG fans because they know deep down that Queso would have clutched it in OT anyway. But let's look at a Vatira game. Vatira is my pick to be the best player at LAN going in. And it was only because his teammates stepped up that we didn't have to see Vatira just dominate every aspect of the field like he usually does online. But I do think that Vatira is getting a bit underrated, at least from the player rankings that I'm seeing from various Rocket League content creators and analysts. I think Vatira is getting underrated, especially his grand finals performance against NA. I think is getting underrated against G2, I should say. Because Vatira's defense versus G2 Esports was absolutely ridiculous. By the way, did I say thank you to Today Squared for the 10 gifted subs? I just realized I saw that, but I was in the middle of a train of thought, and I think I didn't say thank you because we were like talking about a demo. Or like they were off. Thank you for 10 gifted. And also J.Collins for the 2 months Prime and Swag Frog for the 9 month tier 1. Welcome back to you guys. Vatira said on Rizzo stream, I'm getting hard carried this LAN. He, in the group stage, didn't have as much to do because they lost to V1 and then they just popped against FaZe and they obviously beat Detonator. But the more the event went on, lovely little team bump there by Vatira and Rise. Great high five in the middle of the game. You know, as the event went on, more was required of Vatira in order to keep them going in the tournament, and it peaked in the grand final. Vatira's defense in the grand final was crazy, and that's why I've picked this game to show you, because I wanted to talk about Vatira defense. Not just goal line saves, but just this consistency of challenges and decision making. He was so difficult to get past that, yeah, he probably gave G2 a lot of headaches. Whereas Rise was the difficult player to stop in offense, and Joyo obviously very, very unpredictable start to finish. Vatira was the consistent just rock in defense for Team Queso. And yeah, a lot of people underrating his performance just because he didn't air roll as much as Joyo and score as much as Rise did. He still scored some bangers. Bangers. There's nobody underrating Vatira anymore. I still think there are. I mean, I think Vatira was most likely a top 10 player at LAN. I don't know if you guys would agree with that. But I don't see many people putting him top 10 from this LAN. I think I would. Yeah, there's oh, good saves here. This was a game where G2 really got a lot of pressure going, and we saw more Queso defense, more goal line defense than we're used to seeing from them. Probably all of G2 and Queso are top 10. Yeah, probably. I think probably all of G2 and Queso are top 10 for the LAN. Because G2 and Queso were just so far ahead of everyone else at the LAN. Yeah, I won't reveal the order of my top 10, but off the top of my head it would probably be all of G2, all of Queso, First Killer, Daniel, Monkey Moon, and Beast Mode. And then probably honorable mention to Kaio. Or Yan. But I say Kaio because I've given Yan a lot of love for ages now. Since before he was a Furia player, I was talking about him. I remember I put him in my top 25 players halfway through 2021. And I'm pretty sure some of the other people on my stream that day were saying, who's Yan? When I said Yan's in my top 25, a lot of people were saying, who is that guy? Like, I've been on the Yan hype train since before a lot of even analysts and casters knew who he was. So you don't need to tell me how good Yan is. I've been doing that for a bit. But yeah, Kaio really, I think, stepped up compared to Fall. I was very, very impressed with Kaio at this LAN. Very, very impressed. So at the moment, Vatira's on 4 saves. G2 have been the team who are aggressing more often than not. That's not a good back well clear by Vatira. He's trying to get a much better clear than he did there. Which stream do I think had the 3rd highest level at LAN? Man, that's hard. That's a really tough one. I mean, Space Station took Queso to Game 7. So that's very impressive. V1 swept a group that had Queso in it, which is very impressive. You know, FaZe went on a pretty decent lower bracket run themselves as well. So they clearly did well. Including beating V1. So they were all like in the running, but honestly the team that was probably 3rd most impressive for me would have been Furia. They beat NRG in the group stage, they beat Endpoint twice in the group stage, lost to CJ for the memes. They lost, like, you guys have to understand just the level that Furia are at. They lost to CJ just so they could beat Endpoint again. Like, how ridiculous is that? Who's doing that? Who's putting NRG on like elimination in the groups like that? No one. You know, Furia could have beaten Renegades, they could have beaten CJ, but they thought, you know what? Let's just give Renegades another shot at eliminating NRG. Because if we lose to Renegades and they beat NRG are out, and that'll be hilarious. So let's just lose to Renegades. It's no big deal. All we have to do is beat Endpoint again. That's free. So Furia, they went through all of that just to beat Endpoint a 2nd time. And then they only lost, the only teams that Furia lost to outside of that, Renegades lost for memes, were the 2 teams in the grand final. They lost to G2, and they took Queso to Game 7. So I think the 3rd most impressive team of the event for me would probably be Furia. Because Space Station Gaming only had to play against Dig and KCP in the group stage, so although they were able to beat V1, you know, they still only came out of the event with 3 series wins to their name. Bit unfortunate for them that Sandrock Gaming couldn't compete, because it does make their LAN look worse, just because they didn't have to play as much. That's just, you know, an unfortunate aspect of Sandrock not being there. Yeah, Furia in the groups, crazy. Absolutely crazy. Why was SRG not there? Visa issues. Visa issues. Vatira's now on 6 saves, racking up the points. Love the patience there. I don't know if he meant to hit this though. I'm going to rewind. That looked like he might have been planning an air dribble, but he does side flip. You can't believe BDS got perfect sweat by FaZe. It's not completely unbelievable, because we have seen BDS totally like fall off in events before. Like, they've been perfect sweat by Dignitas, who a lot of people think are quite similar to FaZe. Like, the team in Europe that BDS has struggled with the most is Dignitas, and the team from NA that BDS has struggled the most with is FaZe. You know, BDS went game 5 with G2, and they could have won it if Mark just hit the open net in game 5, so they were not having too many issues in that matchup. That looked like a much better matchup for them. But FaZe and Dignitas, these like really mechanical teams, BDS do not like playing against them. Or so it would seem. But FaZe did lose twice to Queso, so, you know, the fact that they've beaten BDS and Endpoint actually just puts them 2 for 2 against Europe in the event. Because Queso beat them twice. I'm really hoping we get to see Dignitas versus Queso at some point. There's Rise. Of course, Rise there to put away the finishing touch. Always Rise. This was I'm pretty sure this game was a lean back kind of like tilter for Atomic, because look what happens to Atomic here. He's not got a lot of boost. He jumps up to get goal side of this shot, and then the ball hits off the crossbar and just comes straight back to him, and it's a perfect set for Rise. He had to do something here. You know, Atomic knows that if he leaves this, it's just going to be a free shot for Rise. So he has to do something, but instead of hitting the ball to his goalkeeper or to the back corner, he accidentally chips it. So pretty unfortunate there for Atomic. And then where was Chicago in all this? I don't know. I don't think he could do anything. Yeah, he was just out of the game. Just went for a big race to the ball and got dusted. Rise just slotting everything. Rise just slotting everything. Yeah, those are just like 3 Queso games. Oh, whoops, I meant to show the end of game scoreboard there. Let me do it again. Those are just 3 Queso games. I probably plan to watch a lot more Queso games and a lot more just G2 games, a lot more of everybody's games from the Fall Major. That's not the right one, is it? It's supposed to be this one. Furia throwing against Renegades isn't against RLCS rules. Mate, I was joking. Like, they didn't actually. Yeah, how about that for a scoreboard? Vatira 7 saves, Rise 6 saves. G2 really put on the pressure in this game, but they just couldn't get another goal past him. Okay, so showing a bit of versatility here, not just all-out offense. Not gonna lie, when the bracket reset, I thought Queso was gonna win, especially since G2 being the final goal of Game 7. Yeah, I've made a YouTube video about that. It's gonna be uploaded in just 10 minutes on my channel if you want to watch me talking about the G2 Game 7 choke, as well as the G2 Game 5 clutch of the second series. G2 bounce back was really, really cool to see. Very, very, very happy for them.